Hello, my name is Ben King, and I'm beginning this series titled The Art of Peace for the Mind at War. And the reason I'm beginning this series is because I think the single greatest threat to mankind is the war that's being waged inside the Western mind. And the reason why I think that's the greatest threat to mankind is because I think that the West, in particular the United States of America, represents the highest achievement of human consciousness that the world has thus far achieved. It's a major statement, and I'm basing this statement largely on the academic work of Dr. Jordan Peterson. The reason why I feel so strongly about this connection and this relationship is because I am now reconnecting to the stories of the Bible, which the Western mind is oriented around. And I'm now seeing that these stories paint a picture that really makes a lot of sense to me. And the reason why I think they make a lot of sense, and the reason why I think the fate of mankind rests upon the Western mind, is because I think the Western mind in particular pays preeminent emphasis on the individual. And so the war that's taking place in the Western mind is the war that's taking place in the individual, and especially in the individual American. And that war is not just being played out in our politics, it's being played out individually in the lives of individual Americans. And the war, the actual conflict, the violence, is taking place through language on social media, through conversations with each other, and I think even internally that this war is happening. And part of the reason why I think this war is taking place is because we are, each of us, incredibly powerful. And the power that we have is expressed in every single conversation that we have with other people, and with every thought and feeling that we have inside ourselves. So the reason why I'm putting this out there is because I want to contribute to this conversation in a way that doesn't contribute to the violence and to the war that's developing. And the only way I know how to do it is through the things that have helped me deal with the war that has taken place in my own self, and the tools that I've found to foster an art of peace, foster practices that are participatory and inclusive, while at the same time powerful and sturdy. And so instead of contributing to any particular side of the issue, I want to participate in a way that is non-judgmental, that attempts to articulate places that the war is taking shape, and tools and practices to mitigate the power of the violence and the anger and the despair that's inside of the Western mind. And so this video series and also podcast titled Arts of Peace for the Mind at War is meant specifically for Western-minded individuals who see themselves as powerful beings that have a vote, that participate in the political sphere, that participate in their social actions with other people. And the only way to move inside of a war is to not add to it. You don't We can't get rid of it. It's here. The war is on. It is on. We are having it. We're in it. You can't fix it. You can't stop it. What you can do is not contribute to it. Participate without adding to it. Moving through a situation without adding more to the violence that's already there is good enough for the time being. So that's why I'm doing this. The war is already on. And so that's why it's called Arts of Peace for Minds at War. And so with that, I'll begin my first kind of references, or my first cornerstones that I encourage you to see as valuable and I encourage you to deploy. And so the first thing is the practice of mindfulness. Okay? So the practice of mindfulness is being non-judgmental about whatever shows up in your thoughts, whatever shows up in your sensations, and whatever shows up in the mystery that we call life. So in those three realms, mind, body, and the mystery of life, you are non-judgmental about what shows up. With the mind, being non-judgmental about the mind. That means that when you have thoughts, whatever they are, you do not label them as either right or wrong. You simply have thoughts. Sensations. You do not label them as could have been avoided, shouldn't be happening, bad, good. They don't get a label. To be mindful of your body sensations is to be non-judgmental about what shows up. To be mindful about the mystery of life, why what happens, when it happens, and what that means. To be mindful of the mystery of life is to see what is taking place, not as something that should have been avoided or shouldn't have happened or could have been another way, but simply as something that is, and something that you don't know how it's going to work out. Three things: mindful of the mind, mindful of the body, mindful of the mystery of life. Non-judgmental about each one of those things. Before I get into a little bit more detail, one of the things I want to point out, and I'll kind of talk about this in the context of the mind in particular, is the notion that there is a right answer and that right answer is stable and still and does not have alternative perspectives, alternative viewpoints, that it's stable. And this in particular, this notion that there is a stability to things, that there's a way of thinking or an outcome or a way to be that is the right way, end all be all, is not accurate, is not a solid position. It is a pathology of the ego to make a statement that is 100% certain for everyone all the time. The ego does that. Someone who is dominated by their ego can get stuck believing what the ego, the identity, the individual believes is the right way to believe. That is a pathology of the ego. It is something that happens when people get accustomed to thinking that their way is the right way. This is how wars start. This is the war that we are in. Take any current political situation and you will find that there are two sides. Both sides believe that they are working with the facts, and both sides believe that they are right. Neither good nor bad, it just is. And this is the way this is how sides come to war. And this is where we are. The Western mind is at war with itself. Now, is that good? Is that bad? Should it not be? I don't know. It's the mystery of life is what we're in. We're in it. We are in the mystery of life. And how this is going to turn out, no idea. Why this happened, infinite number of explanations. What to do about it? Now we're on to something, okay? What to do about it. So, let's start with the art of peace, okay? The art of peace is the cumulative works, or the cumulative kind of quotations and expressions of the founder of the martial art Aikido, Morihito Ueshiba, or O-sensei. The basic idea behind the art of peace is that you have a tremendous amount of power inside of you that can be deployed in any conceivable situation in such a way that both sides either leave even or feeling like they've gained something. Let me say that again. The art of peace posits that under any situation, in any circumstance, there is a path forward that enables both sides to feel acknowledged, and if you're really, really good, both sides feel like they left the engagement with something. Okay? So, the very first stanza, the very first thing that O-sensei says as a expression of the art of peace is as follows. The art of peace begins with you. Work on yourself and your appointed task in the art of peace. Everyone has a spirit that can be refined, a body that can be trained in some manner, and a suitable path to follow. You are here for no other purpose than to realize your inner divinity and manifest your innate enlightenment. Foster peace in your own life and then apply the art to all that you encounter. Find peace in your own life and apply the art to all you encounter. So for me, this begins with mindfulness. Mindfulness is being present without judgment with thoughts, being present without judgment with sensations, and being present without judgment of the mysteries of life. What that means is that it begins and ends with you. And this is the great accomplishment of Western society, that every individual has inside them this innate divinity that is what our entire culture is built upon. It's different than other cultures. That's important. You have to understand that. While other human beings on the planet have exactly what Americans have inside of them, this innate divinity, their minds, their culture, their identities are different. Not better or worse, just different, okay? That's really important to understand, okay? There are ways of thinking that do not, absolutely do not, put the individual at the center of everything. Americans do. This is important. Americans have in my opinion, an evolved system of building the best progress off of the divine essence of every single individual. I'm hammering this home over and over again. I think academically, Jordan Peterson provides a very good explanation for why this is important, why this is unique, and why it's special. I think it's important to understand that the opposite of that is a society that does not identify the individual as the highest value, but that identifies the group as the highest value. That's a very, very different way of being. To be identified with the group is to count on the group to fix the situation. The group will fix it. I'll just fold into the group and the leader will fix it. They'll fix it. Somebody else will fix it. That's not us. That's not Americans. Okay? It's up to you. It's not anybody. No one else is going to fix this. And you think, well, I'll just vote for this person. I'll vote for that person. And that person will do it. That's fine, but those aren't the people that are fixing the issue. It's the people that are voting for them that are fixing the issue. That's the thing. It's you. It is your mentality, your mind, your way of interacting with your peers, your way of interacting with your neighbors, your way of conducting yourself on Facebook, your way of driving your car in traffic. It's all on you. The responsibility for the fate of America is on you. You can't put this on somebody else. That's not what we've ever done. In America, when we had a problem, we fucking fixed it. We got going on it. And not just like a certain part, a certain chunk of people did it. Everybody did it. Everybody's played a role in the America that we have today. And so we have to re-accept that responsibility. Now, once we accept that responsibility, you got to have the right tools. You got to have the right tools to navigate this responsibility, because this responsibility is fraught with the most challenging challenges that you will ever face in your life. You'll come up to people who will have radically different ways of viewing the world than you do, and the question is, can you be present and calm enough to find the smoothest path forward? You can do it, but boy, it's not easy. It's not easy. And so the lessons that I hope to share in this video series and podcast are tools that you might find useful inside the conversations that you're in, so that you don't contribute any more to this war than we've already contributed. We're all responsible for this. We are responsible for this. It's not this side or that side. It's not this group or that group. It's every single one of us in every one of our conversations with ourselves and with other people is up to you, individual you, not your leaders, not your elected officials, not the group you belong to. It's up to you individually to either contribute more to this war that we're going through or less. The outcome is up to us. Take responsibility for your participation in this. Take responsibility for the future of humankind. It's what you were born to do. It's what we have identified as the most valuable thing in the world, the individual, the divine spark inside of us. Now, it's divine and it's powerful, which means that if your internal environment is way into the realm of identified with self as the answer, I know what I know, and what I know is more important than anybody else, and I know what's right, and everyone else who doesn't agree with me is wrong, and they're just fucking idiots. It's a no-go. That leads to war. If you cannot be with multiple perspectives inside of you at the same time, then you will never see the path forward, and then you will just simply perpetuate the war that we're in, And pretty soon, when the violence comes, that's what we'll get. You can feel the violence inside of you. You can feel the rage. You can feel the anger. You can think about the latest outrage. And you can feel it. For me, it's here. It comes up. And if, it can come out of my mouth, how I talk, and go into my mind and spin thoughts up and up and up. It can come out as a fist, come out through a firearm. That spot inside of you, that spot, we all know we've got, whatever it's called. It's a powerful thing. And this war that we're in, one way to look at it is this is the war that evolves us to whatever comes next. It's the mystery of life, so I don't know. But I'm taking this on as my responsibility. I'm going to contribute to the middle. I'm going to contribute to the non-judgmental space. This space in between the sides. And what that means is I can go to either side. I'll talk to anybody. I'll talk to people that infuriate me. I'll talk to people that may have things that I agree with. But I won't judge them as right or wrong. I won't say this is the way to do it. I'll simply be present and calm. And so every week my objective is to contribute to the arts of peace for minds at war. I'll contribute practices. I'll contribute bits of information that I think are useful. But mostly I'll just try to be a stable, steady, non-judgmental space that you can count on. And if you're in a kind of a battle with yourself or a friend or a loved one, and it just seems like it's going to destroy you, you can look to me and I'll be a space, a non-judgmental space. If you want to come at me with violence and anger or viciousness or rage, I'll accept that. And I open a space for that. Leave as vicious comments as you like. Better send them at me than to a family member or to your neighbor or to the car that just cut you off. I can hold it. I have practices that can hold it. My family can hold it. My friends can hold it. My community can hold it because they hold me and I hold them. We are at war. So, my intention is to create these videos every week. Please contribute your thoughts and observations. I'll use that to guide my presentation each week. And in the meantime, let's end with a practice, okay? So, in each of us is the potential for the most kind of divine expressions of human capability. And one of those expressions is gratitude. And so what I'm going to guide you through, if you want, is a mindful moment of gratitude. So the first thing you do is you notice something taking place in the present moment. Sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. For me, what's showing up the most is my heart is beating up and into my throat, which feels good because that for me, that feels like I'm on the right track. The words that I've been putting out feel authentic and real to me, and in a way that I can keep going. So that's what I can feel right now. I'm also looking around. I can see light and shadow. If I listen, I can hear the quiet of the room. If I feel my body beneath me, I can notice the chair and how my left elbow is against the rest and my right elbow is against the rest of the chair. And then from there, I send my focus into my feet, then my pelvis, and my core, heart space, throat, top of the head, and take a full breath. And now if you're following along, as you exhale, think about something in your direct surroundings that you feel grateful for. So like for me, I'm in a climate-controlled room, quiet, safe, sturdy. Feel grateful for that. Take another breath, and this time as you exhale, think of something big or transcendent. Something bigger than yourself that you feel grateful for. I immediately think about my parents, my grandparents, and my great-grandparents, and my ancestors, and all the people that have played a fundamental role in my life coming to this moment. And so just in my mind, I'm just visualizing and then saying words like, I remember you and I appreciate you. Thank you for bringing my life to this moment. And so in my heart, in my being, right, the same place that can create the violence and can create the war is also the place that can create the peace and create the gratitude and create a contribution that builds as opposed to destroys, that complements as opposed to takes away. And then as you take one more round of breathing, your exhale finishes the practice. Thanks again for participating in this series, the Arts of Peace for Minds at War. See you next week.